I um I went out to dinner tonight to an all-you-can-eat Chinese buffet. $9.20 in Vincennes, Indiana, including a soda after tax. So not a bad price. $9.20 all you can eat. Uh, Mongolian Chinese buffet, Dragon 2000, Vincennes, Indiana. Uh, their General Tso's chicken, not very good. That's fine. It was cheap. I just needed food. Anyway, um, there was a gentleman sitting in the corner, just talking about how things were, how things are, talking about his farm a little bit and so forth. And I asked him, "Can I come over to chat with you a little bit?" I'm a journalist from Pennsylvania. I'm driving around the country. I'm talking to farmers. I'm going to farmers markets. I'm trying to just learn what I can. I'm trying to pick up information where I can. He said, "Yeah, sure. Come on over." And we just got to talking. And he's running a very small farm. He only has 250 acres. He's doing wheat, corn, soy, or some variant of those. Um, we got to talking, and all the farmers that I'm talking to out here are saying you got to have about 2,000 acres to survive. But in order to get that 2,000 acres, what kind of debt are you taking on? How much your combine alone is going to be $350,000 just for a combine. So you've basically got a lot of farmers in the Midwest only farming because it's their family land for generations. They don't want to abandon it. They're working. So this guy, he was working at the Hershey's factory near Vincennes. So he had a full-time job. And he needed to have his full-time job in order to keep the farm going, because the 250 acres, you're not making really anything off that. So you're working 60, 80, 100-hour weeks, either at another facility and on your farm. If you're doing it just on your farm, you're not getting any health insurance. You're dealing with anything can go wrong. I was talking to another farmer last night. There's there's a thing going on around here where people are building like their own homemade cannons, and they're shooting cannonballs off around places. And he ran over one with his combine, and it did $5,000 worth of damage. And not only did it do $5K worth of damage, but it put the combine out for a couple days until it gets fixed and so forth. So you've got all these unforeseen circumstances that can come along and really mess stuff up. So I kept talking to this farmer today, and I'll answer your question in just a moment, Data Love. Because it does vary by crop, but I mean the short answer is basically not enough. Or nothing really. Well, I mean they're making something, but they're really not making anything. Not at the current prices. But yeah, I kept talking to this guy, and he was saying, if you're wanting to get into farming on that kind of stuff, wheat, soy, corn, or whatever, you can't unless you're being gifted land, unless you've got a ton of money that you don't care about losing, unless you meet these couple other factors. There is no real way to get into farming for soy, wheat, corn, that kind of stuff. And it continues to be bought out by bigger and bigger companies. The farms keep getting larger and larger. There's some that are now 10,000 acres, 20,000 acres, 40,000 acre farms. And man, it's just I've been in a few farmers markets now. I've spoken to a few farmers of varying different sizes. One had 750 acres, and he's not switching to hemp because in his mind, correctly or incorrectly, hemp is coming to Indiana. So what he's thinking is, as more wheat farms get converted to hemp, that means his wheat is going to go up in value. So he's sticking with wheat because he thinks hemp is going to come in, meaning wheat production down, his wheat value up. Good luck to him. He could be right, he could be incorrect. I don't exactly know. If it were me, if I had the opportunity to, I would switch to hemp. That's just me. I don't know. I'm only assuming the economics of it. I don't really know the soil, fertility, and so forth. So yeah, I spoke with a 4,000 acre wheat farmer. I spoke with the 750 acre wheat farmer. I spoke with the 250 acre wheat farmer. And yeah, the 4,000 acre farm is kind of working. It's kind of surviving. But the two main workers are putting in 100-hour weeks. And I spoke with one of the younger guys that was working there, and when he was in his 20s, he was working at an Indiana coal mine in the daytime and then working on a farm at nighttime. And he said he was having probably 5 or 6 20-hour days per week. Just grinding and working, grinding and working. And the more people that I keep talking to, the more I just keep hearing these ridiculous number of hours of work. And I've seen them do the work. I've seen them still plowing their harvesting their fields at 8 p.m. I've seen them out in the mornings at 6. So I mean, they're not lying to us. And I keep asking them the same thing. I'm like, my generation, yeah, we'll work up to 60 hours, if things are really kind of rough. But why do they do it? The family, the love, they all love it. Every fucking farmer is so proud of his fields, of his production. So proud of their production. Can be a lot of women farmers out there too. That was just bad of me. But they're proud as shit of what they do. They love it, and that's what the guy that I was talking to tonight said. He's like, if it wasn't my family's money, if it wasn't my family's land, it's been in his family for like 120 years, and he didn't love it, he wouldn't be doing it. But they're losing, you go in more debt every year, you're doing more damage to your body every year, you keep getting older every year, you keep making less money every year, the other farms keep getting bigger every year. He's running tractors from the 1980s because they've never been able to afford to upgrade equipment. And the analogy that I made to him, and this is one that I'm gonna kind of begin to stick with and retell this story a couple times, so sorry to my community members, you're gonna hear it here for the first time, but I'm gonna be telling it a few times over. From my journey on Twitch and covering whatever we cover, it's a lot of different stuff. I think you'd all agree with that. I feel like I'm sitting at a table. I'm looking at a 1,000 piece jigsaw puzzle, and none of the pieces even fit together. Like, even if you can sit here for 5 years if you want to, but the actual pieces just don't even fit back together. And I guess what I'm trying to kind of say with this analogy is I can't understand how pricing is working right now. The gentleman said McDonald's around here has raised their wages to $15 an hour, but they made the burgers smaller and they raised the prices on them. So even as we try to, I want a $15 minimum wage, I give it to us right now. Even as we fight for these higher wages, companies are gonna raise prices. So, like, can we actually gain purchasing power? I don't know. I can't figure it out. And there's water problems, there's energy problems, and there's amount of hours that farmers work problems. And this drought in the West this year Lake Mead is down to 1067, predicting to lose about another 22 to 30 feet over the next 2 years. If it gets down to 950, that means no more electricity. If it gets down to 850, that means no more water coming out of it because of the design of the dam. And if you look at it, it used to be huge. Now it's not. So now you only need less water evaporation can take place, and you're dropping faster, because it's not as wide and spread out as it was before. Actually, is that true? Yeah, that would be true. I guess there would be less surface area that could heat up and evaporate. However, I don't know. Scratch that one from the record books. And I got to talking to this guy about App Harvest, 60-acre facility, Moorhead, Kentucky. Rainwater capture, 10-acre pool, no pesticides, bug parasite control, yada and on and so forth. And it's really amazing. But the farmer that I was talking to, he said the number one problem in the world right now is greed. He said it's money and greed. He's like, I've been a poor man my whole life. I'm always gonna be poor. I don't need much to be happy. A good chat, a decent plate of food. And he said, you've got this just like rampant greed. And, he was even complaining a little bit, he was agreeing with me about complaining about financialization. And, just like high frequency trading and finance becoming such a big part of US GDP and, bastardizing the economy and just turning it all into the casino. And it is tough out here for people in the Midwest, just like it's tough for people in Appalachia. Now there are good things happening in farming. The app harvest thing. Oh, I guess to finish talking about that, it's now a publicly traded like $1.3 billion valuation company, and they're saying they're going to be doing good stuff, and they're saying they're going to be providing jobs, and yeah, cool. But so they have 500 total employees in the company right now, which means they're probably having around like, let's call it 400 people actually working labor at the facility. Maybe I'm a little bit off there. So let's say they're going to have 400 people per facility. So you're telling me that 8 facilities are going to produce around 1 billion pounds of, 12 facilities are going to produce around 1 billion pounds of food, which is incredible, which is wonderful. We need it. Like, we absolutely need this to happen. So in those 12 facilities, you're going to be having what, like 3,600 people working? Okay, or wait, can I math? 4,800 people working. So you're going to have 4,800 people working there. Okay, that's actually also good too. However, a lion's share of that profit is just going to go to the shareholders and the venture capitalists that got in early. And then what's going to happen is we're going to have 4 companies around the country that already have economies of scale on large commercial indoor vertical automated and or horizontal hydroponic farming. And it's going to cost so much capital to get into the business that it's never going to get out of these 4 companies. So again, we're going to have an oligarchic class even further controlling the food industry, and it's going that route. Now, market gardens are going to stay around, high tunnels are staying around, individual farms are going to be staying around, and they're definitely going to stay because people want to know where their food is coming from. Interesting. Anduril from Narsil. Yeah, I did not grow up around this area, but I mean, I kind of get I do get where he's coming from. However, I don't blame the individual, and this was what I said to him as well. Um, we are constantly marketed to every single second of our lives. We're constantly being told, buy this, consume that, wear this, look that way, do that consumption, do this purchase. So I don't really blame. I'll leave it this way. We can deal with, like, should I blame individuals or so forth, but mostly for the position that I'm making is well, oh no, but I think his critique was more of a systemic critique. I think that it was like the greed of society, the always wanting a newer, bigger truck, the always needing. Yeah. I think he was kind of trying to come from that lens of it's just like rooted through the culture. But I don't know. The guy was a wonderful person. I don't think that there was like a. I mean, there was definitely evil in his body. We've all got evil in our bodies somewhere, but he was coming from a good place. He passed my. I really judge people based on the first like couple minutes of meeting them. Actually, probably within the first like 15 seconds, you can kind of just tell, rather quickly, do they at least have like a decent heart or not. But yeah, it's so tough because I keep talking to more and more farmers. Oh, I hope today so I can harvest. Um, and I'm just really realizing, man, it's life as a farmer is hard. More than I even knew before. Breaking up, it'll come back. It should have just come back. Basically, what I'm just realizing is life as a farmer is hard. Cool. Yeah, I'm on Tiberius_D's Wi-Fi, and the Wi-Fi is not good enough for me to stream off my desktop, but it mostly works for off the phone, so that's why we're on the phone for tonight. I don't like that I'm probably on somebody's 24-inch PC monitor, just being there and having my face there. Not really a fan of being on camera. I like being behind the camera and talking about the story, but that's life. And then I also wanted to talk about some climate change tonight. Uh, well, I mean, I guess like I'm on your 16-inch TV. Nice. Hi. Um, yeah, I'm really worried about these water futures contracts. I'm worried about continued sustained droughts. I'm worried about the wildfires. I'm worried about food production. Um, because we don't really have. Good to see you too. We don't really have a plan of what to do. We keep allowing, vertical farming to become IP backed and VC backed. I'm really hoping that, and I mean, temperatures in Iraq, we're hitting they're going up to 125, 135, 143 in some places. You've got the Pacific Northwest, 111 in Portland today. But when you've already got a drought, and then you have a heat wave, and then you're doing, further perspiration from the heat wave, and then your wildfires are kicking up, and it's only June, and you've already plowed under, a third of your fields. Oh yeah, it is definitely the frog in the water. Yeah, but I think it's here. Well, I think no, actually desalination doesn't exactly work because what do you do with the leftover brine water? Um, And the concern that my father and I are now most worried about is heating up rivers. Rivers heated up rivers, leading to changes in either fish spawning, in mass fish die-offs. Wait, why doesn't desalinate? Desalination kind of works, but there's an issue that you usually run it through. One of the main ways to do it is through like some osmosis program. So like imagine that these like fingers are a filter. You bring water from one side and you like hyper condense it through this filter, but what gets left on the back end is going to be this over salinated water called brine water. So you have 1.5 liters of brine water for every liter of clean water that you get, and then you've got a disposal issue. So you can, I mean, you can dump it back into the ocean, which is kind of what they're doing, but it sinks down to the bottom of the ocean floor, and that really changes like the ecosystem down on the ocean floor. So yeah, that hello, good evening, Surfer Girl Gritty, and hi, Spread It Forward. Hi everybody. I don't say hi to people. It's not any. Just so you all know, it's me. You know, I try really hard to just like I got things in here to download to all of you. I forget social norms at times, so apologies. But yeah, the food production for this year is going to be tough in the fall. They've really plowed a lot under in the West. And to get back to the rivers of what I'm concerned about, you've got these river temperatures rising and rising and rising, and the fish population, from my lens, can't evolve fast enough to deal with it. So you've got less fish in rivers, which means less, somebody smarter than me can be answering these things, less, filtering, less, less biodiversity, less biomass. And then you've got hotter water, which is more algal water. Are there any, Mombasa around to something? I don't know. Is that possible? Okay, maybe, but like, it's really expensive to ship water as it is anyway because of how like huge it's going to be. So what are we going to like use? I mean, I guess maybe theoretically, if we stopped using oil, the tankers could be repurposed to move brine water. So I guess, in some kind of stretch of imagination, there could be something there. But that would be like my first kind of like thoughts on that one. Also, this is an AMA too. If you want to ask me like farm shit, I have opinions. If you want to ask me climate stuff, I have opinions. So AMA on and I'm open to hearing like ideas and solutions and so forth. There are good things out there. There are really good techniques out there that we can begin to work on this. Ponds to build massive evaporation ponds, and I'm going to come back up to the other ones. I'm 100% full in for permaculture. I'll answer the permaculture part because it's what we need to do. But yeah, so I tried to think like, can you build these ponds? But how, it's kind of like the problem of when you build a solar field, you're having to clear out basically like a square mile of anything that was living underneath it. So now you're like creating a new desert. Are you doing better by having that desert than doing fossil fuel pumping? Probably. I'm actually starting to get a little bit more into agrovoltaics, where you can have elevated, automated, like about 14-foot high solar energy panels above ground on actuating tilters that work in unison with following sunshine, in addition to blocking sunlight from going down onto the plants that are grown on the bottom. There's like an X amount of sunlight that plants can only take in per day, and then after that peak they're unable to undertake any more photosynthesis, so the only thing that extra light is doing is going to be it's only going to be leading to more evaporation. So agrovoltaics might be something that could be decent. With so many depleting industrial buildings in places where there's a lack of quality of fresh food, they should subsidize them. I mean, I've been begging for this to happen. Yeah, you can do anything. You can grow I mean, you can grow tomatoes in bags indoors in an abandoned industrial building. You can grow saltwater shrimp. You can do aquaponics. You can do hydroponics. You can do floating beds. You can do anything. Yeah. So the there are amazing things that need to be done within municipalities, similar to how municipalities during COVID should have sold bonds at, I mean, could have fucking sold them at 0.5% of interest, and that have flown off the shelves. Um, they should have sold bonds and bought up all the abandoned hotels, converted all the abandoned hotels to house the houseless, and then afterwards, when the market picks up, sell them back into the private, and then take that and do what you're talking about. Buy other commercial distressed properties and do vertical automated integrated farming. I mean, fucking A, right now App Harvest is only a $1.3 billion valuation company, and I even convinced conservative farmers here that I was literally talking to a 700-acre wheat farmer who felt a little bit conservative because I had an idea, everybody, yesterday, off topic tangent. Instead of having speeding tickets be a fixed price, I want speeding tickets to be based on a person's salary and or income. And hear me out here for a quick moment. Okay, so let's say that I'm making $20,000 a year and I get a speeding ticket. I pay 1/10% of my salary for the speeding ticket. So I'm going to be paying $20 for my speeding ticket. If a person's making $2 million, they're going to be paying more than that. So we were talking about that. But anyway, so this guy that I was chatting with, I said to him after, other people have had, and I said, like, App Harvest market cap right now is like 1.6 billion. Like, are you really trying to tell me that it's not in the interest of the government to buy out this company, get rid of all of the shareholders, and just open source all the intellectual property from it? And this guy even agreed with me. He's like, yeah, like, that actually seems to be an okay thing. So, yeah, but we're not going to buy out App Harvest. We're just going to let them stay a fucking private company. My thoughts on permaculture are massively important. It's either going to have to be large-scale reforestation projects that we do, or large-scale permaculture projects. I really like, if you're starting your apple farm or your fig farm or whatever, intercropping, asparagus down below, intercropping kohlrabi, intercropping, melons, or anything that you can do. So anybody that can, thank you for the host, Surfer Girl Gritty. Anybody who can permaculture that's having natural pest management, that's not using pesticides, that's not using fertilizers and so forth, yeah, go for it. Is the internet gonna drop for a quick second here? Came back. Yeah, spread it forward. We'll talk about that in a second. What I was saying about the ocean when you popped in, it has to do with dredging of the ocean. I mean, can you dredge and bury the brine? I'm not exactly sure. Okay, the sound is back. The internet came back. I'm sorry, everybody. I'm dealing with internet issues. Thank you for bearing with. It's pretty cool of you. Yeah, so I was talking to a tomato farmer in Lexington, Kentucky, and yeah, the farmer said that he used to grow tomatoes outdoors, but produce outdoors in Kentucky. So just because of how, I wish internet would just work. Just because of how many variables there are to outdoor farming, pest management, droughts, not able to control your growing conditions, needing to fertilizer, needing to use pesticides and so forth. He's able to get more yield in 1/10 of an acre high tunnel than he's able to get in 1/2 an acre outdoors. So the future of farming, at least for a good type of vegetables, is high tunnel intensive agricultural production. They were not reusable. Yeah, I actually was kind of asking it. Well, okay, I guess the bag farm. So he was getting off-farm dirt, which I don't mind. I don't mind people using like other, like we can have soil farmers that are, producing peat moss or compost for other farmers. Like I'm not so thinking that everything has to be a perfect closed loop system. I think that we can have one business, making worms, I think, or one entity making worms, one entity making compost, one entity making, cocoa noir, one entity doing peat moss or so forth. So I'm not as, yeah, that's a little of where I was. I'm gonna come back to this. Sorry, I see that you all had the speeding ticket thing. 80,000 ticket, 103K speeding tickets, the record. Nice. Okay, caught up on chat. Thank you all for being here. About the speeding ticket. Okay, nice. Yeah, sometimes, I was actually feeling myself when I came up with this idea. And I got a look from the bartender at first that I was crazy. And then she thought about it and she's like, no, that completely makes sense. Like, if I'm a single, struggling mother of two, like, that speeding ticket is going to absolutely destroy everything for me at the price that it's at. And do you know what? The guy who didn't want the speeding tickets, do you know what kind of car he drove off in? It was like a 2020 Mustang GT or something. So, like, and yeah, his wife said that she sped a lot too. And you know what? We actually got into an argument because I'm gonna let the internet catch back up. We got into a bit of an argument because they said, yeah, let's just put up, traffic light cameras everywhere. And I'm like, no, come on, like, we can't be doing this. We can't go to like a surveillance state or whatever. So I don't even know what they were, but they weren't libertarian, at least civil libertarian. Carbon. Like, I don't think we're at a point where we're gonna be getting to like no carbon, or so forth. When you broach with your mother. Yeah, that's for sure true, Monty. Yeah, that's absolutely for sure true. But I'm okay with. Someone's like lighting fireworks off. But yeah, I am okay with not everything coming from just one plot of land. I think that's kind of pretty tough. When you broach it with your mother, she made me provide a biblical justice. Wow, Andrew. Yeah, am I close to you right now, Andrew? I'm on the border of Indiana and Illinois. Yo, it's hot in here. Actually, never mind. I retract my statement. That was very rude of me. There are a lot of people that are a lot hotter than I am in this country. God damn. Fool. Yeah, there are, like, I'm seeing that there are a ton of innovations that are really good. They are kind of just a little expensive to get started. Corn farming is rough. Wheat farming is rough. Soy farming is rough. There's not really, man, it's just, you got to have a huge field. You really got to have a huge piece of land to be able to be making any kind of money in those industries. And your capital expense is so drastically high. Yeah, very, very high. What are some other questions that you all might have about either... Oh, okay. Okay, nice, Andrew. No worries. Yeah, I'm not exactly all that protective over my my locations or so forth. Oh. I haven't found it yet either, Wojak. A permaculture solution to wheat and corn farming. I mean, we don't exactly need the corn. Like we can kind of get to a post-corn world a little bit, but we're still gonna need a lot of wheat, and we still need a lot of soy. Well, I don't know, maybe we can even get to a little bit of a post-soy world. So I guess, yeah, you can make arguments that soy and corn production should go down for a multitude of different reasons. But the wheat might have to stay. Could potatoes replace corn? Well, corn is mostly used for feed right now for CAFOs, for automated farming operations. I mean, you can. Potato vodka is better than corn vodka. But I don't really know about that. Really, I mean, I appreciate you all letting me share with you tonight, because I was, like I said, I was in that climate doom loop today. You know, like, I know what's going to be happening to Lake Mead. I know what's going to be happening in Iraq on their temperatures. Like, I know what's happening to these farmers. I know what's happening to the food. And we just, we just keep stressing fucking everything. And Monty kind of, like, touched on it a little bit here earlier. He said, we need to consume at a lesser rate, and unfortunately the ways to do that are tough. And I mean, I'm not exactly that, well, I am that a little bit, I'm not that a little bit. It's not, you know, the individual is not going to change it. That's not how it's going to be. But there is the Jevons paradox that the Lakeview channel was talking about, how when energy becomes either cheaper or more plentiful, or more easily accessible, we use more of it. So like when when a coal train could go from 1 mile to 2 miles, they didn't stop there and be like, okay, we did it. No, they're like, well, now we want to get it from like 1 to 4 and so forth. And it's something, ain't it? I think those are fireworks. I would state we consumed too fast. I wouldn't say grew too fast. That can just get to like dangerous territories that I don't have any desire for. There's plenty of arable land. There is plenty of ability to produce food. And there's even plenty of water for everybody. There's enough out there to go around. We've got a systems problem, we've got a distribution problem, we've got a profit problem. And none of these farmers are really making a profit, and they're working 100-hour weeks, and they're destroying their bodies for nothing, really. They're kind of being like discarded and forgotten about in the back end of their life, or even during their life. I'm thinking about your comment. I'm gonna say that I'm not wise enough, but there are people out there that know more than I do about quadratic voting with public goods and public services and better ways to democratically organize societies. So there are people out there smarter than I that can talk about how to better utilize public goods for via quadratic voting or a democratic process. I'm not smart enough about that yet. Maybe in a year, we can kind of get there. right now I'm really kind of just it's been really enjoyable driving to talk to different farmers, seeing the passion that they have for their work, seeing how their faces do light up when they talk about it. And I'm kind of just in like an exploratory learning phase on one. No worries, Monty. I spoke with Farmer Jesse twice. I went to his farm once and I couldn't exactly take a tour, but then I spoke with him at a farmer's market. And yeah, I'm gonna come back to that. Library socialism, learning to share luxury instead of hoarding it. That's pretty nice. Yeah, I mean, we've got to reevaluate car ownership, but that's a tough one in the United States when like a car is so necessary. How am I going to tell a person in West Virginia who has to drive 45 minutes to go to a grocery store that we're gonna go away from private transportation even within a decade? Let's just say that I was going to be transport czar and I was going to get rid of private vehicles within it. Like because I agree with it. I mean, we are gonna have to get to a shared transport model. But even, I guess if you get to shared transport, maybe you have a little bit less cars, but everybody's still basically going to be traveling the same distance. Well, but you won't. Okay, it will be better. You're going to be saving a little bit of energy if you go to shared vehicles. Well, but the problem is what they're offered once they get there, James. It's what they're offered is the issue, not what they purchase. The cheap things are the most unhealthy. I want to come back. There's a great question here from Barbados, Black Belly. What have I found the farmers want to advocate for? Do they want subsidies or... Honestly, they just want to survive, and a few that I spoke with were a few said that there are some government subsidies out there, but they always come with a catch. So they kind of took the position of they'll give you something if you bend over backwards for them, and a lot of them are in the camp of the industry is so regulated and so tightly controlled and so price controlled and so monitored that it's impossible unless you're a 2,000, 4,000, 10,000 acre farmer. Additionally, I know one thing that all farmers want. All farmers want access to markets. I keep hearing time and time again, you can grow the best food, you can grow the best produce, you can have the best intentions, you can have the best practices, but if you can't find a market to sell to, if you can't get access to markets, you're fucked. So they want more markets, they want more farmers markets. They also, a good majority of them, are okay with the idea of forcing any grocery store to provide a farmer's market out front. So a lot of them are even okay with trying to push that type of envelope within the grocery store industry. So this means that the grocery store would be in charge of building the stalls, providing the tents, giving the tables and so forth, and then farmers could just go there and have because you're already getting traffic, you already have foot traffic, you already have people interested in food, and the first thing that they're going to see as they go in is the local fresh produce. And you can still have all your other produce inside and all your other fruits inside and everything, but so that was kind of one thing that they were cool with. Yeah, there are. I'm not a humanity is going to survive. Whatever climate issues come over the next century, humanity is going to survive. There are plenty of techniques to produce food, to capture water, to propagate seeds, to create compost, and so I don't think, humanity is going to collapse. I kind of think society may. And yeah, sometimes when I run probabilities through my mind, it does become like balkanized worlds where you've got, Cal exit, or you have, you actually finally have Oregon breaking out to go with Idaho. So I kind of see, I don't know what communitarianism means. I gotta learn up what the term is, but I kind of see balkanization and just a regrouping of how kind of like some things are going to be going. I do agree with that, Richie Tab. All right, let me roll up here. I missed a couple comments. Car cooperatives in rural areas would work unless the person commutes to work every day. Well, yeah, a lot of these people are having to commute to work every day. But I mean, you could even, I don't know. The car issue in the United States is a tough issue because we've just got a lot of fucking land, and our railroad systems are old. We'll come back to the car talk. Rural areas would have a lot of jobs if we decided environmental restoration was important. Correct. You're never going to make a profit on it, which is why we don't give a shit about it. Yeah, you're literally, you cannot exactly see a profit motive in it. I can't exactly figure out how to do it. I mean, I guess like you could do, if we got into a world of carbon pricing. Yeah, I get, actually that would be how we'd have to do it. If we get into a world where we're actually doing any type of carbon pricing, if you can show that your property is beginning to become a carbon sink and or carbon negative, I guess you could theoretically reorganize a society around, around carbon sequestration, or natural sinks, or restoring land back to the way that it was, and so forth. So maybe create like a new medium of exchange via those methods. But again, that's going to get bastardized pretty quickly, and then people are going to trade those on the market. But it's, I don't know, it's something in the start. Yeah, we actually talked about the whole cooking thing. This teacher that I was talking to said that they don't teach cooking in home ec anymore, and they don't really teach food prep, and we don't teach kids in high school how to cook, and that's a problem in the United States. Maybe it's better for you all out there, but yeah, we're not really taught how to cook over here. I bet grocery stores and farms they contract with would not like the idea. Tough. Yeah, I agree. Meat is drastically cheaper than it should be. You can't. You can have automated tractors a little bit for field crops. However, the problem is, you can have like pits, or you can have like a pothole like develop in your land or so forth. So, because a lot of the combines right now are automated combines where you don't have to drive the steering wheel, you type in point A and you type in point B and it goes to it. But you kind of still need a person there to monitor for holes and so forth. But I mean, you're also partially correct that you pretty much could go full auto. Potentially warehouse, the second one I'm not exactly sure. Oh, I think that Richie Tab was being like sarcastic, or like five head. Like that's what these people are gonna do. They think that we're just gonna pack up and go to Mars. Yeah. Not I don't exactly think that they're putting it out there. seriously. I'm not even. Alright, everybody. Here's my, like, I guess this isn't even my hot take. This is just really the accurate take. Why do we talk about meat consumption and not fish consumption? Okay, I'm pretty convinced that it's worse eating fish at the moment than it is eating meat. Because, I mean, we can kind of like, can fuck up the land and we can kind of deal with it a little bit. But if we fuck up the fish populations, yeah, I gave up eating fish a long time ago because I just got terrified that we're going to kill them all. And then the ocean's just going to be empty, and then it's going to turn into something that I can't even write up in a science fiction horror film. Interesting, James. Hello, good to see you. I live in a rural area that's filled with retired people and some younger remote workers who are trying to organize car co-ops. Yeah, we need them, head of Romaine. I did tour an aquaponics facility, actually, and I toured an indoor, or a tobacco barn converted to a shrimp farm. But that's not even, like, perfect either. You know, there's going to be, well, it's, raising salmon, I think you have to feed them like 6 pounds of other fish for every pound of salmon that you get back out, so I don't think that you can really farm raise salmon. I think tilapia are kind of easier because they don't really take a specialized food source. Shrimp are maybe a little easier because they don't take a specialized food source, but really I'm more mean like tuna. We can't keep, like, I hear what James is talking about. We can't keep eating tuna. Or, you know, and we can't keep eating certain things like this because I'm very worried what we're doing to those populations. Kelp farming is going to be huge. Yeah, I mean that is what it's going to, Montreal Player. Like I said, it's going to App Harvest in the Bowery. We already have 2 companies in the United States. One is a 60-acre indoor horizontal hydroponic, 45 million pound producer, and they're going to expand to 11 more facilities by 2025. And the Bowery is doing indoor vertical greens and micros and lettuces and so forth. And I mean, you're right. And the shitty thing is these things are going to become IP backed and IP owned and VC backed and VC owned and shareholder backed and shareholder owned rather than anything decent. You know, if we could all just agree, like, let's de-intellectual property-ize at least farming. Food production. Yeah, I don't exactly know Barbados. Any other questions? I don't want to. One thing that's so hard is, like, I want to go on other people's channels and talk about the climate doom loops. I don't want to subject my community to it all the time. You all deal with enough fucking stress knowing the things that you do. You're not the ones that need to hear that we're going to every goddamn tipping point that's ever been created. You know, it's like, it's other places that kind of need to hear the message a little bit more. Monty, you're kind of correct because McDonald's very selectively bred chickens in the United States for a couple of decades to the point that we got like a really close genetic species. Yeah, I'm with you there, James. I think fish is really the number one. Enough on the memes, Richard Tab. Yeah, Hedda Romaine, a great example of why cooperation in these spaces beats the competitive is how Cuba coordinated to produce 5 vaccine candidates. He built software for Big Ag for a while, exactly 8 chickens. Oh, wow. Good Soul Invictus. Yeah, it's we're coming up to maybe moonshine time. I've been slowly sipping on that bottle of moonshine that I got from twitch.tv/Freems at the Appalachian Distillery. Um, yeah, I'm hoping though everybody, and I think it's something that I'm gonna have to do for you all. Like my part of my mandate, I suppose, or part of my responsibilities to you all, is to be able to take the work that you've all done in this channel and amplify it to as large of an audience as possible. So I'm gonna have to figure out some kind of way to get invited onto a onto like a couple other shows or so forth. I don't want to, I'm not going on like that many debate panels, but like if I can go into somebody's channel that has a larger community in order to download some information out of my mind. So I'm gonna have to like re-up my networking capabilities once again to be able to try to push that forward. I feel like you'd enjoy talking to some people on the forefront of IP reform abolition. Sourcing support would be a great one for that too. Yeah, I mean James's community knows that we're in a climate death loop too. Um, yeah, James definitely knows. But yeah, he would hook me up. Any channels in mind? I don't know. I'm not sure. Honestly, probably I need to go on conservative channels. Um, it's like the hardest thing about delivering content is the people that you would like to access it never click on it. Oh, for contacts. Oh, yeah, true. That could be good. Um, feel like you'd enjoy talking to people on the forefront of IP reform abolition. Despite it being a leftist project, there's no interaction between the internet leftist sphere and the tech left who have been fighting the battle for a long time. I mean, people can shake their heads at me this way or they can shake their heads at me that way, but I'm about to, I've already alienated the audience that would left because I covered blockchain. But I wanted to rant about this earlier today, so we're shifting into a new rant of mine really quickly and then we'll come back. PayPal just raised their fees, so they went from charging 2.49% and a 29-cent transaction fee to a 3.49% and a 49% transaction fee. Venmo is raising their transaction fees. Stripe could potentially follow suit. Twitch, the best that you can do on Twitch is spend 28% extra to buy bits. If you buy 25,000 bits, you can get them for $308. It's about like a 28% overage charge. The worst that you can get from Twitch is 50% and maybe even worse for people from other countries. So you've got all of these exorbitant fee structures everywhere. OnlyFans takes 20% from content creators. Substack takes 20%. Patreon, I don't even remember how much percent they take. So what I'm about to convert this into, and how I'm going to say, there is something trying to go out there. PayPal did buy Venmo, but they still run them as separate companies. So Venmo has a different structure than PayPal has, but they are together. Yeah, you're correct about that. So what I was gonna say is like talking about like the online left not dealing with the tech left. I'm gonna try to convert this into like a conversation about like decentralized finance or decentralized payment rails. Uh, that at the moment right now we run everything across like 3 or 4 networks where they have the monopoly on the power on whether or not it's going to work. And there has been an attempt to develop new payment systems that are decentralized, that don't have a single critical flaw point, that don't have the ability for PayPal to say, yeah, we're going to let that happen, or yeah, we're not going to let that happen, and yeah, we're going to change like this fee, and yeah, we're going to change that fee. So, in a little bit of agreement with what you were coming from, I feel that there was a space, a new payment rails. Oh, Kofi doesn't take fees. I didn't know this. I'm gonna have to look into it. But there is like a new space developing to provide cheaper payment rails, easier methods of exchanging, well, a lot of things from one account to another. Um, but everybody kind of thought Bitcoin bad. Let's not look into, decentralized finance or allowing people to like get around using Western Union and get around using Swift payment systems and so forth. So that was one that frustrated me. I'm in the software space and I'm telling people how open source works and why it's great. Yeah, you're right. What does what's mnemonic mean? MEMNENOMIC. I don't remember what mnemonic means. Go for gamers or creative streams. If anybody can link me into gamers or creative streams, any channels in mind? Any. I'll go anywhere really. If it makes you feel better, you didn't care about any of this stuff until I started talking about it. Really. Oh, what did your Barbados Black Belt? You must have had a different name before. You've had 999 messages, and I don't recognize your name. One of the scary things is that we actually harm fish without even fishing them. We pollute their habitat. Yeah, we microplastics, chemicals. Yeah, I agree, James. Oh, okay. Oh, wow. Thank you, Woyuk. Change your name because you got bored. What was the name, if you don't mind? Just so I could try to remember. And then I'm going to be wrapping up here soon, I think. This ended up being an actually decent stream. Oh, Shrink 46. Oh, you literally just changed your name today. Okay, wow. This one's gonna take me some time to remember. Okay, hi, nice to re-meet you. Yeah, I've learned. I keep trying to explain this to people. I wonder if any of you out there feel this way, and maybe some of you do. Um, I think some of us that have been on Twitch for a year or two, we've downloaded so much information into our minds, and we have access to so many like this talking position or that data point or so forth. I'm trying to understand if it's actually ours, because there's information sometimes in my mind that I can just recall and regurgitate, but I don't exactly feel like it's mine. And that's I just have to have a feeling that there's a lot of you all out there that you all know so much, or like your brain knows so much, but we don't even realize it. And with this whole kind of farming endeavor, it's been fun to try to just direct download a little bit of information to be able to share it and regurgitate it. The problem of advertising, proprietary platforms have gobs of capital to spend on advertising. Yeah, yep. I'm with you there, sourcing. Yeah, every streamer is basically an open source person because we give everything, you know, out, and we kind of hope it'll be supported. Yeah, head of Romaine, you're also correct there. Any other thoughts before I wrap up and look who I'm going to rate? Yeah, yeah. Hello, good to see you too, Rio. People are going to be heavily relying on mutual aid community networks in the future. We need the kind of collective action that can only be instituted from the top down on a massive scale, and it's not happening because it isn't profitable. That leaves individuals and communities, for regular people, start growing food and learning how to be as independent of the global supply chains as possible. I do want to add in a little caveat here to this. And this isn't even a disagreement. I think that you're going to be right there with me. It's not only going to be, it's not only like food, nursing, teaching, plumbing, electrical work, construction, and so forth. If one has an able-bodied physique, or a mind that can handle, or mind and body that can handle the stresses of being like a nurse or so forth. Relearning, at least for me, I don't know shit about this stuff. So at least for me, I need to relearn some things, which I, thankfully, been going on a farm trip and working on a farm or two to be able to learn it. So, it's been helpful for me. But yeah, all that I would really add in there is, it's not going to be just food that needs to be in the mutual aid. But I mean, I know that you agree with me. So wasn't an attack on your position in any capacity. Well, okay, so I just spoke with Farmer Barb yesterday, and they're working on an open source app called what was the app called? It's in my history. Oh, it's in my bookmarks. Mutualaid.world. Mutualaid.world. Global Community Local Aid. And they're developing an app that is going to have five different quote categories, quote. I think one would be like a land donator, one would be a volunteer, one would be like a driver or something. But anyway, it's trying to develop a global community that can that has like specified like roles for people to develop an open source mutual aid world network. And what Farmer Barb said was the hard part about it is it's all open source. It's all volunteer. There's not a lot of money coming into it. There's just a lot of hours that need to be done. So yeah, if you're interested in that at all, mutualaid.world from Farmer Barb, a viewer in my channel, Clydeson's, and Lucid Foxes, maybe a couple others too. All right.